Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 208 based on novel. So let's start. Let the battle begin. It'll be exciting when they fight. I bet in the first clash, the cultivator camp will lose. But in a prolonged fight, the Ice Peak camp probably won't hold out. Haha, it would be best if the cultivator territory of the 3,600 world groups turns into ruins. HMPH, if it really turns into ruins, then the 8 lords will have no worries. That would be the most terrifying. That would be interesting. In the land of eternity, a group of spectators gathered, unfazed by the impending chaos. Besides the 8 lords of the cultivator side and the 12 undying and undying entities from the Ice Peak camp, the other 9 undying and undying entities all had avatars appearing in the land of eternity. They include the Infinite Snake Ancestor, Inference Fire Ancestor, Initial Ancestor, and the Mother of Spacetime from the Innate Primordial Camp. Moreover, 5 individuals unaffiliated with any faction. These 5 are Mogus, Kafu, Feather Emperor, Demon Ruins, and Hermit. Among these 5, 4 possess strength high enough to be ranked in the top 10 within the infinite primordial space. The Hermit, whose strength is unknown, is the only one in the infinite primordial space whose true body cannot be found. These 5 live freely without joining any faction. The more heated the battle, the better. Kafu laughed heartily, clad in white battle armor. Infinite Great Serpent, your innate primordial camp fought the cultivator camp for so long and lost quite a few ancestors, right? If the Ice Peak camp goes to war in a large scale with the cultivator camp, a few ancestors will probably die too. The Infinite Snake Ancestor, unimpressed, said, through the trials of life and death, there's hope for strength improvement. Those who fell only deserved it for their strength wasn't strong enough. Unlike the cultivator lords who are all undying and undying, among over 100 ancestors who participated from the innate primordial camp in the past, only a handful were undying and undying, while most faced the threat of death. Under the threat of death, they fought many battles with the cultivator camp. Some surviving ancestors had gained something, requiring time to slowly assimilate these gains. There are too many ancestors. Mogus, with a chilling aura, spoke as well. Those weaker ancestors should be eliminated. The Ice Peak camp also has 26 ordinary ancestors, some of whom should die. Mogus, if I'm sensing correctly, hasn't your power been wiped out over 95%? Kafu asked. Can you battle against Starlight? Mogus sneered. I may not be able to fight him, but he can't do anything to me either. Kafu shook his head, unlike you, who only bullies the weak and is powerless against Starlight. Mogus snorted coldly. Initial, the mysterious cubic demon ruin sat beside the absolute spherical initial ancestor. Both shared deep ties. I've heard you recently went to the fire prison wall. In the infinite primordial space, there are several mysterious lands. These lands vary in strength, some particularly powerful, offering not even a hint of hope for the ancestors to refine and control them. The fire prison wall belongs to such lands. The fire prison wall is an endless majestic wall stretching across the length of about 100 world groups, with a width comparable to a world group. Among the mysterious lands, its vastness ranks in the top 3. 99% of the ancestors daring to approach the fire prison wall would be turned to ashes. Wulan once ventured to the fire prison wall and was severely burned, retreating immediately, unable to delve deeper. The only one capable of traversing the fire prison wall is the initial ancestor. The initial ancestor responded, Yanghua, Shoju, and several old friends asked for my assistance, and I led them to the fire prison wall. Back in the ancient times when factions hadn't formed yet, Shoju, Initial, and Demon Ruins were all quite familiar with each other. Did you find the origin of the fire prison wall? Demon Ruins inquired. No, Initial answered. Inference Fire Ancestor nearby also said, even though we traversed the entire fire prison wall, we still couldn't sense the origin of the fire prison wall. If none can sense it, then refining it is even beyond reach, Kafu remarked. In the fire prison wall, the highest level flame power we've discovered has accumulated to 12 kinds. Inference Fire Ancestor expressed with amazement. There, the icy flames can even freeze ancestors, while endless scorching flames burn everything. There's thunder fire, destroying all, ash flame, annihilating everything. Violent flame. The simultaneous cover of multiple flames can only be traversed by initial. If the fire prison wall has an origin, it at least contains 12 kinds of highest level power. To refine it, one would have to master nearly half of the highest level power, Infinite Snake Ancestor stated, across all creatures in the infinite primordial space. At most 2 highest level powers are mastered. That's why fire prison wall can't be refined. It's indeed impossible, conceded Inference Fire Ancestor. Any ancestor who excelled in flames harbors ambitions for the fire prison wall. Such a terrifying mysterious land, once controlled, would certainly upgrade one's strength significantly. Such as Inference Fire Ancestor, currently one of the 9 emperors, with slightly lesser strength than Infinite Snake Ancestor. But if one were to grasp the fire prison wall, surely they'd overpower Infinite Snake Ancestor. They might even aspire to claim the strongest position within the infinite primordial space. Of course, places like the fire prison wall, the land of eternity, abyss of destruction, are renowned for their strength and show no prospect of refining. Inside the vast and majestic palace, the Ice Peak Ancestor amongst 12 entities gathered here. Look, a grand figure pointed with its massive hand, revealing a scene in the midair of the 8 cultivator lords on their journey. It's evident what the 8 lords of the cultivator side intend. They will directly initiate war if we try to take control of these world groups. This grand figure, with a body like Yellowstone, glared furiously at those present. Xiao Saiwei, have not encroached upon a single world group in the cultivator territory, nor taken a share of any resources. Regardless of whether you join this war, Xiao Saiwei, will not participate. Xiao Saiwei. We 12 are whole. Once a collective decision is made, you must join the battle. The 3 rulers of Phong Lei Si immediately came out to rebuke angrily. After all, we are whole. Wugu Ancestor also spoke, being the only true body here, he had the most at stake. Xiao Saiwei sneered, if I don't join the battle, what can you do to me? Ice Peak Ancestor watched this scene, feeling a headache as well. The Ice Peak camp, 12 undying beings, along with the other 26 ancestors. It seemed imposing. But precisely because the upper echelons were undying, they were very difficult to manage. Even the weakest, the 3 rulers of Phong Lei Si, were quite troublesome. Compared to the 8 lords of the cultivator camp, they are evenly matched with us 12. We also have 26 ancestors. Once the war officially starts, we have the absolute advantage. We can crush them like dry weeds and rotten wood, and even occupy a wider territory. Teach the cultivator camp a lesson. Let them understand that an alliance with us, Ice Peak camp, must be led by us. You 2 fools, when the cultivator camp was weak, we were the leaders. But now they can even fight with the innate primordial camp which comprises hundreds of ancestors. Would they still fear us? I haven't invaded the cultivator territory, nor sought resources. My thoughts are clear, I definitely won't join the battle. A small figure finished speaking and then disappeared directly. Gone. Pu Cheng actually left early. The 3 rulers of Phong Lei Si were extremely furious. Shut up then. Ice Peak Ancestor glanced at the 3 rulers of Phong Lei Si, wanting to expel them from the Ice Peak camp, but because back then 12 existences from the land of eternity allied together, lacking sufficient reason, it wasn't good to expel them directly. Pu Cheng left. Ice Peak Ancestor scanned the surroundings, his attitude is clear, he won't join the battle. What about you all? I also won't join the battle. Xiao Saiwei said, our Ice Peak camp, like the innate primordial camp, needs a lot of resources to grow the life core. But the 8 lords of the cultivator camp focus on enlightenment. They don't care about resources. I don't understand why have a fallout over invading world groups. The cultivator camp has always relied on us. Now they've become powerful and started turning against us. I think it's time for a fight. The ancestors who relied on us only enjoy the resources, it's time to make them fight desperately. There were quite a few present wanting to start a war. Ice Peak Ancestor felt quite a headache, quietly transmitted a message to Shoju. Beside him, the grey-cloaked woman, Shoju, glanced at Ice Peak Ancestor and looked around before speaking. this war is meaningless, I won't join. Suddenly, the hall quieted down. Shoju won't join? Shoju and Starlight Lord rank among the top 2 in strength in infinite primordial space. If Shoju doesn't join, and neither do Pu Cheng and Xiao Saiwei, this war could be lost. The 12 undying beings, with the 3 rulers of Feng Lei Si at the bottom, yet the others were getting stronger. Pu Cheng's strength could match a cultivator lord. Hence, he dared to lead first, not giving face to anyone. Xiao Saiwei's strength could also rank in the top 30 in endless primordial space. Pu Cheng, Xiao Saiwei, and eldest sister Shoju won't join the battle. I feel this war has no assurance, it's not suitable to start a war. Ice Peak ancestors' gaze swept over the surroundings, return all previously occupied world groups to the cultivator camp. Any opinions? No opposing voices arose from the hall. They've decided to retreat. Luo Foong and others were on their way. Starlight Lord suddenly spoke. Retreated? Yuan showed a joyful expression. To be honest, the lords were still very concerned about the numerous creature worlds in their territories. Most of the 12 undying beings in the Ice Peak camp were belligerent. They didn't care about the lives of the lower levels at all. Xiao Saiwei and Pu Cheng were among the few who cared about their own clans. They also worried about full-scale war affecting their own clans. During negotiations with Ice Peak Ancestor later, follow my lead. Starlight Ancestor could glimpse countless future possibilities, some of which once pushed almost certainly become reality. Okay. Yuan nodded, trusting Starlight was the right choice. Half a day later. Led by Starlight Lord, the 8 lords came together to the border area of the Fallen Territory. On Ice Peak Camp's side, 6 figures appeared, Ice Peak Ancestor and 5 others came to greet them. Elder brother Yuan, don't be angry. Ice Peak Ancestor smiled as he approached. You said to start a war, after some intimidation. I barely managed to unify the internal opinions. What opinion? Yuan asked. Of course, to return the occupied territories. Ice Peak Ancestor said with a smile, it's unnecessary for our sides to go to war. Just return them? I checked carefully, your Ice Peak camp was quite ruthless, plundering wantonly, even devouring many source world origins. Yuan said coldly, now just returning the territories, and you think it's enough? Ice Peak Ancestor slightly frowned, feeling a bit unhappy. Not going to war had his secret encouragement. But he, Ice Peak Ancestor, also cared about face. What do you want? Ice Peak Ancestor looked at Yuan. I don't ask you to compensate much, return all resources plundered in the cultivator territory. Yuan said, then the matter is settled. Otherwise, however robbed, I will rob back double. Ice Peak Ancestor nodded expressionlessly, I can promise you. Ice Peak. Beside him, Wugu Ancestor and the 3 rulers of Feng Lei Si were somewhat anxious, they had seized the most, should they return it? I said, I promised. Ice Peak Ancestor glanced at them, whoever is unwilling, negotiate with the cultivator camp yourself. Wugu Ancestor and the 3 rulers of Feng Lei Si could only endure. Just them alone? Facing 8 cultivator lords, they would be completely torn apart. Elder brother Yuan. Ice Peak Ancestor looked at Yuan, smiling slightly, your cultivator camp has changed. At least in facing Ice Peak Ancestor, the attitude had become much tougher than before. I also have to report to the other 7 lords. Yuan looked at Ice Peak Ancestor, believe Ice Peak you can also understand. Understand. Ice Peak Ancestor nodded. The 2 looked at each other. Both understood that some things had changed. Soon, everyone from Ice Peak Camp left, and Wugu Ancestor, along with the 3 rulers of Feng Lei Si, would need to return all plundered resources shortly. Invading our cultivator territory, making them retreat and return the plundered resources, is already quite lenient. Jin said coldly, according to my temper, whatever they looted, we should counter-loot 10 times. Our strength is still insufficient. Starlight spoke, forcing them to return the plunder is already the maximum extent. Asking for more? With Ice Peak's arrogance, they would certainly go to war. If he decides to go to war, Shoju will definitely join. Luo Foong had just become a lord and hadn't interacted much with Ice Peak Camp, only silently watching all this. No matter what, the cultivator territory of 3,600 world groups has been completely recovered. Yuan showed a smile, looking at Luo Foong by his side. Luckily Luo Foong broke through to become a new lord, otherwise, who knows what would happen to the cultivator territory. The other lords also felt good at the moment. Until now, this war could be considered completely victorious. The cultivator territory has been completely reclaimed, and only then did the 8 lords truly relax. Starlight, those damaged space-time nets need you to rearrange them. Yuan requested. It's simple to destroy, but troublesome to arrange. Starlight Lord rarely showed a trace of helplessness. To repair all the damaged space-time nets, it will take at least a millennium of busy work. At the time when it was decided to expand the territory, the cultivators chose the densest group of 3,600 worlds, precisely because some world groups were too far apart, making the arrangement of time nets extremely difficult. Starlight Lord is now just repairing the space-time nets of a few hundred world groups, which already requires a millennium of effort. Brother Starlight, if you need help, just let us know. Luo Foong said. Repairing the space-time nets just requires some special materials. Wulan chuckled on the side. Starlight is far richer than you, Luo Foong. There's no need for you to help. Starlight shook his head. I do have a very important matter that requires Luo Foong's help. Oh? Luo Foong was curious. Once everything is ready, I'll discuss it with you in detail. Starlight smiled slightly. As the being with the strongest temporal insight in the endless primordial space, he was the one who understood it the most. He also had some troubles, but no other lord could assist him, and he thought that once Luo Foong, who mastered 2 primordial paths, appeared, he might be able to help. In the future observed by Starlight, Luo Foong, who masters the 2 paths of life and death, would have much stronger combat power. All right, feel free to call on me anytime. Luo Foong nodded. He admired Starlight greatly, for Starlight's contributions to the entire cultivator camp were immense. As soon as Starlight spoke, Luo Foong was naturally willing to assist. Jin watched this scene from the side. He and Luo Foong were considered a perfect combination. With Luo Foong around, he could use the forbidden technique of his burning main battle avatar as a common technique. Luo Foong could also shield him from numerous dangers. Yet, a trace of dissatisfaction in his heart made Jin reluctant to speak further. Luo Foong, if you're willing to help Starlight, you'll have to help me in the future as well. Lord Mo Man laughed. Whenever I'm free, I surely will. Luo Foong replied. Ming Huang smiled slightly on the side, as she now understood Luo Foong's nature, knowing that if she asked, Luo Foong would definitely assist. Jin, Mo Man, and Ming Huang, these 3, were very suitable for collaborating with Luo Foong. Once they cooperated, they could even achieve an effect greater than the sum of their individual parts. Next, let's properly rebuild the previously ruined territories. Yuan said. All the lords nodded. In their respective territories, there were parts that had fallen. During the fall, they all suffered varying degrees of damage. The cultivator territory entered a major construction phase, and the entire camp finally returned to calm. The innate primordial camp, which suffered significant losses, and the Ice Peak camp, which recently faced setbacks, no longer dared to offend the cultivator camp. As for other weaker forces? At this time, they dared not emerge at all. The 3,600 world groups gradually resumed their usual lives. Within one of the source worlds of the Dark World group. Inside a sealed cave mansion. There was only one creature, living in solitude here. Hold on. I must hold on. A figure curled up there, trembling, his consciousness sinking and struggling in countless illusory realms. He was precisely the city builder of Yulon City, Yuan Xong Palace Master, who, after leaving Yulon City to Luo Foong, dismissed all external avatars and returned home to his source world to fully resist the pollution. But over time, the pollution of memories grew heavier, and he could no longer regain consciousness, constantly struggling in illusions. His strong will to survive still struggled on. Unwilling. Struggling out of one illusion, only to face yet another. He couldn't even distinguish between reality and illusion. I can't tell. I can't tell what's real and what's illusion. Yuan Xong Palace Master felt immense pain. Being able to realize can't distinguish means I haven't completely succumbed. Yuan Xong Palace Master's consciousness had been deeply corrupted by pollution, only his strong will was sustaining him. Brother Yuan Xong, Brother Yuan Xong. A voice rang out. Rumble. A force broke through the closed cave mansion, appearing beside Yuan Xong Palace Master. I've sent messages, yet there's no response. You've completely lost control of even your own cave mansion. This figure watched the twisted, trembling Yuan Xong Palace Master, gently shaking his head. This was his guide on the path of cultivation, once mastering 2.5 primordial paths. Now, he couldn't even control his own cave mansion. He couldn't allocate even a single thought, losing all perception of the outside world. Brother, your luck is truly good. This blue-robed figure stretched out his hand, held a jade vial, and a drop of crystal-clear dew fell, landing on Yuan Xong Palace Master, merging into his body. This crystal-clear dewdrop fused into Yuan Xong Palace Master's soul, cleansing away all impurities, strengthening his soul considerably. Yuan Xong Palace Master opened his eyes, staring blankly at the cave mansion scene before him, looking at the blue-robed man in front of him. This is reality. Yuan Xong Palace Master felt unprecedented certainty. At this moment, he was in peak condition. He could even fully exert his pinnacle strength. Although memory pollution was still present, his powerful soul was fully able to suppress the pollution. Du Fang, my dear friend, what is going on? Yuan Xong Palace Master looked at his old hometown friend. The pollution brought by high-level primordial life. Logically, only my spiritual will breaking out of the cage can resist it. How do I suddenly feel better? I even feel my soul has become much stronger. This is a drop of life dew bestowed by the great Lord Luo Foong. Du Fang smiled. He instructed me to bring it to you. This drop of life dew can transform and strengthen your soul, naturally suppressing the pollution. For a lord, solving memory pollution brought by merely high-level primordial life can have many solutions. A drop of life dew that nourishes the soul is enough. Lord Luo Foong also said, if one needs to completely solve memory pollution, they can visit him in the Dark World group. He will personally erase this memory pollution hidden in your soul, Du Fang said. The Lord also mentioned that this pollution becomes harmless and instead offers a honing effect once your soul grows stronger. Yuan Xong Palace Master listened in a daze. Lord Luo Foong? Yuan Xong Palace Master, since returning to his hometown source world, had self-sealed himself, focusing solely on fighting pollution and was unaware of matters outside. Just not long ago, our cultivator camp birthed a new great lord. Lord Luo Foong. Du Fang said with excitement and pride. Lord Luo Foong, allied with Yuan, Jin, and other lords, thoroughly defeated the innate primordial camp. We have already won this war completely. The Dark World Group, as the hometown of Lord Luo Foong, has been greatly developed. The present Dark Sacred Realm is far more prosperous than before, with Lord Luo Foong's true body residing there permanently, served by thousands of high-level primordial life, and frequently visited by world-level primordial life. Yuan Xong Palace Master listened in shock. That talented young junior Luo Foong, who solved the disaster in Yuan City, became the highest-level existence lord in the endless primordial space. Yuan Xong Palace Master was well aware that lords were the true pinnacle existence in endless primordial space, for ancestors had flaws and could fall. But lords were truly undying and immortal. Luo Foong became a lord. Yuan Xong Palace Master still vividly remembered the first scene when meeting Luo Foong. Back then, he felt Luo Foong had great potential, stronger than Wei Yan Palace Master and Master Gai Dao, so he gifted 50 billion primordial crystals. As for later contributions to Yuan City, that was because Yuan City faced a life-and-death calamity, and Luo Foong was the savior of Yuan City, which doesn't qualify as a favor. The true favor was the 50 billion primordial crystals. To the then weak Luo Foong, it was of great help. One must know that before this, Luo Foong could only practice impoverished cultivation methods, unwilling to purchase primordial bloodline references. Lord Luo Foong said, "You can go to the Dark Holy Land to meet him at any time." Du Fang was very envious that a weak cultivator within a braided cage wished to meet the true body of a lord. So rare. I understand. Yuan Xong Palace Master was well aware that his single act of goodwill earned a return of far over billions of times. The favor towards a lord? Only when the lord was very weak was there hope to achieve it. Dark World Group. Luo Foong gazed into the distance, his eyes penetrating countless barriers and seeing Yuan Xong Palace Master at that moment. Through his journey, he remembered those who had shown him goodwill. Time to go to the land of eternity. With a thought, Luo Foong immediately projected a mind in a void space close to the land of eternity in the infinite distance, starting to gradually condense his avatar. If it were warfare, naturally, a main battle avatar would be dispatched. Because avatars absorbed energy too slowly, restoring to the strength of a main battle avatar, efficiency in traveling would be far greater. Merely attending the land of eternity required only a regular avatar. Who? Amongst the floating mountains of a primordial void, a Luo Foong avatar was formed, then began gradually absorbing energy. The avatar was very weak, and naturally absorbed very little energy. As time progressed, snowballing seemed to occur, with the avatar gradually strengthening and absorbing more energy. Approximately 1 Earth day later, it finally restored to about 3/10,000ths of energy reserves. Barely considered a weak avatar? Capable of clearing all world-level primordial life. Go to the land of eternity. Only then did Luo Foong head towards the land of eternity. No choice, the land of eternity's suppression of outsiders is terrifyingly strong. Only with Luo Foong's body's robust nature, possessing energy reserves of 3/10,000ths, could he be fully confident of not being pulverized. Luo Foong's avatar condensed in a region very close to the land of eternity. Utilizing the shadow power condensed into a bloody robe on the surface, Luo Foong reached the land of eternity in merely a moment. Boom! Luo Foong gazed upon this vast and flat land, feeling considerable pressure. His energy reserve of 3/10,000ths equated to Lord Mo Man's reserve of about 3%. He still felt pressured, evidently indicating that this environment only suited ancestor-level and lord-level life forms. In the center of this vast, flat land, there was only one ancient round table alongside now 29 quaintly arranged seats. Lord Luo Foong has arrived. A peculiar cubical structure, its voice resounding in Luo Foong's ear, carried goodwill. Your seat has long been prepared, you came only today. Kafu, dressed in white battle armor, smiled, looking at Luo Foong. One by one, silhouettes appeared. As long as the first imprint was left on the seat, one could later project thereupon thought, avoiding further suppressive consequences from the land of eternity. Soon, a total of 28 silhouettes entirely emerged and became visible. Including 7 lords from the cultivator camp before, 4 of the 9 emperors of the innate primordial camp, 12 from the Ice Peak camp, and 5 independents, they all looked at Luo Foong. Luo Foong also moved next to a seat, a strand of power permeating the seat, and with a thought, refining took place. The instant of refining, utilizing the land of eternity, Luo Foong sensed these 28 entities. Among us, we have gained a new companion, Lord Luo Foong. The peculiar cubical structure, Demon Ruin, sounded with strength, filled with joy. In the endless primordial space, only these undying and immortal existences can continuously play the role of chess players. The others, the ancestors, though strong, cease to exist once fallen. Only they embodied eternity. Today they welcomed their new companion, Lord Luo Foong. This video will end here.